know the one person is you really, really, really want to know about. Everybody's seen Jorge Masvidal randomly in St. Louis. When he did that and reached out, I said, hell yeah, let's get it in. And he's holding me accountable. He was like, man, you can't do that. You got to move this. No, come on, we got to work tonight. We're doing this, we're doing that. Let's go get in the sauna. How much you weigh? So it's really solid that you got two dudes kind of from the same. We both came from the gutter when you really think about it. And we both found a way to stick with it. And we've had a long career because of our IQ and because of we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations in training so that we can thrive in the octagon. And I want to see him do well. I want to see him, continue to make the money and do what he want to do. And he want to see me back on top. But, we've had several conversations even before this happened. Tyron, get your head straight, man. My head was up and I cleared it up. Now look what happened. Till, Ben, da-da-da. I went on a run. You got to do the same thing. And he kind of gave me the motivation and accountability because I didn't want to let him down. He's scared. He isn't talking. Like think about this. This is one of the highest anticipated fights. It was one of the last fights to be announced. You see all these other fights that aren't even main events that were announced. There's been really hardly any media behind the fight, any promotion. You got two guys that can't stand each other, and we have heard nothing about it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking it in stride. I'm taking it to focus, to lock in on a fight, locking on a training, and not to have to deal with all the BS. So it's a blessing in disguise for me, but he's very quiet right now. He's not talking as much as he normally is. And if he is, I'm not listening to it. I haven't heard it, but he's focusing in training because now he remember what it's like to be in there with me. He remember what it's like to train with me. And you can only fake the media out so much. Now he has to train. He's in a different camp, under different circumstances, and he got to live up to all the stuff he's been talking. So now he's in there training hard, and I like that because I'm in there training hard. He's training at the MMA Masters from what I understand, and that's the camp that's always been a competitor of ATT, so they probably jumped up on the opportunity. They used to have Amanda Nunes before she brightened up and jumped to ATT, and they've always want to show that they're equals to ATT, so they're going to try to train them and have them prepared, but it could be overkill sometimes. Sometimes you overdo it and you come in there dinged up, you come in there banged up a little bit, and I don't know their regimen. It's a good camp, but at the end of the day, he's always been a selfish. He always do what he want to do anyway. He's always been about him. So no matter where he goes, it's going to kind of be the same thing. He's going to kind of fight the same way. Like he's never shown us anything different. You know what I mean? It's been the same fighter every time, and it's been enough to put him in position so we can square off.
Justin, look, there's no doubt Justin has a chance, and I think people, I want people to understand. I'm a huge fan of Justin Gaethje. I think he's phenomenal for the sport. But I also look at guys that he has fought from before. Sure, I feel like he's a different fighter since he fought Luis Formigo. They called him Buscapi back in the day.
Oh yeah,
he showed that he had a hard time in that fight with some guy, and I think he was getting taken. I believe he got taken down. He was losing some of the exchanges.
He got taken down in that fight.
Look, in the very first round, Justin's got a very good chance until that first takedown. And then after that first takedown, you have to understand the amount of weight and the amount of pressure that Khabib puts on you. When Justin does start the second round, he will not be the same fighter. Don't get me wrong. Everyone talks about how good his wrestling is. Yes, he's got a good wrestling. He's got a good pedigree for wrestling.
He's got a good pedigree. So do a lot of guys, and it's different when you're trying to. Wrestling is a different sport, and it's like as soon as you set your feet to punch, you're out of wrestling position. Mm-hmm. So as soon as someone drops the level and that punch doesn't land, you are in a horrible position to defend that takedown. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not good enough to do it against some guys that, their wrestling is as of your level, or even maybe just a little bit better than your level. But I hate to tell you, there's a huge level difference between the wrestling that Khabib does and the wrestling that Justin does. And Justin has gotten away from his wrestling for years. Mm-hmm. As far as he practices, there's no doubt he does practice his wrestling for MMA. But what is most of his game plan when he goes into a fight? How many times have you seen Justin Gaethje shooting for a takedown?
Even when he's in trouble, he doesn't shoot for a takedown.
How many times have you seen Justin Gaethje shooting for a takedown?
I can't recall, man.
Okay, there you go. And that's the whole point, is he doesn't. Okay, because he relies on what he likes, and that is to be that highlight reel of knocking people out. And I'm going to stand here and look, he is a tough dude, and there is no human being in the world who is punch proof. So could Justin Gaethje land a shot that knocks Khabib Nurmagomedov out? Absolutely. No one's punch proof, but the odds of landing that one punch are not very good.
No.
And so you're looking at odds wise, where does this fight land? It lands in the same place that every fight that Khabib Nurmagomedov has ever been in, and that is, especially now, everybody knows what he's going to do. What makes him special is everybody knows what he's going to do, and they can't stop it.
Khamzat Chimaev has got his visa and could be fighting over here in September 19th. Is that something you're working
on? He gets here Monday. I think he gets here Sunday or Monday. He'll be here this weekend.
Are you booking him a fight before we potentially go to Fight Island?
Yes. He'll fight here and he'll fight in Fight Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, this guy wants to... I love that mentality.
Do we have I'm sure it might be too early to say, but do you have an idea of rankings, who he's going to be fighting? Is he top 15 opponents, or is he just fighting whoever says yes at this point?
We're working on a fight for him here that's still being worked, but we're talking about him and Damian Maia on Fight Island.
Awesome.
I'm not going to rain on the Masvidal versus Diaz fight because, listen, you know, a lot of people want to see that fight. It will generate a ton of money. You know, Diaz was pushing for the rematch. He feels that, you know, it was stopped prematurely because of that cut. I don't feel it was stopped prematurely. I don't feel the second fight will show anything different. That said, I will tune in and watch. It'll still be an exciting fight. It'll still be an exciting event. So there's no way I'm going to miss that fight. But for me, it's the fight that you just mentioned. I want to see Leon Edwards versus Masvidal.
3-piece and a soda.
There it is. I mean, you know, the marketing's all there. I mean, look at Khabib versus Conor. They had him running up with the dolly and the bus and all that. Whilst the 3-piece with the soda isn't as impactful as the dolly through the bus window, it's still there. It's still marketing genius. It's all, you know, the promo writes itself. The history's there. Masvidal laid hands on him. The 3-piece and the soda, whatever you want to call it. So for my money, that's the fight I want to see. I feel that Leon deserves it. He's certainly put in the body of work. He's on a roll. He's got the skills. He just needs to talk a little bit more. I think that's what's holding him back. He needs the big fights. He deserves the big fights, you know, but he's just got to start talking a little bit more, unfortunately. I would like to see Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar. To be honest, I mean, Brock Lesnar, it's a funny one, right? Because he's not this world-class martial artist. Yeah, he's not the most skillful guy in the world, you know, but he's still Brock Lesnar. There's some weight to him, literally and figuratively, when you're talking about Brock Lesnar. He's a massive draw. He's a massive star. He will command, you know, he will sell a lot of pay-per-view buys. So whoever is matched up with him, you know, to use Conor's quote, it's red panty night. And honestly, I would like to see Stipe Miocic get that. I feel that he deserves it for the resume, for the work he's put in, the body of work, the people that he's beaten. I think Stipe deserves that. But I'll watch Stipe versus Brock. I'll watch Jon Jones versus Brock. You know, Brock is such an animal and such a spectacle. I think people will tune in regardless of the opponent.
A chick, who's the one guy you would sleep with? John Stamos. What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.